So with YouTube, I always thought that the YouTube tutorials on barbering looked satisfying. That's kind of why I started back then. Like I always just wanted to cut hair. Like I was always interested in starting. I always kind of wanted to start. So I'll start all the way from back there, I guess. I also always kind of knew that I didn't really want to like do a traditional career, like go to college. And I remember like having that conversation with my parents at a young age, but kind of accepting the fact that like because of the way my parents are in the culture, like they didn't get the same opportunities. So they did want me to go to school just because it was like they looked at it as an opportunity that they could not get. So they were like very like forceful of me to go to school. So like they wanted me to go to college after high school. Junior year, I was like, this is like the full backstory of why I started cutting hair and what was going on at the time. Junior year, I was super focused on academics. I just moved to a new school, like familiar because I grew up like with military parents, and my dad is in the army. Only my dad, so my dad, army military father. My dad was in the army, so I moved schools. As a junior, at 16 years old, I did not know anybody in my school, and I was playing soccer at the time. Like that was my thing. I was a soccer player. I tried out for the team, and honestly, like I just lost passion for that sports. I lost passion for it. I didn't make the team, and so I just started like grinding like school academics. Right, I got myself into like AP classes, whatever, just because I kind of planned that I wanted to just grind out school and just force myself like to get the work done and get the grades. And I thought that's how I would make money. Like I wanted to make money, right? And I thought that school was the easiest, fastest, most efficient, safest way to make a living by getting good grades and then going to college and getting good grades in college and then getting a job. I thought that was the quickest way to make 100K a year, which back then I thought was a lot of money. And I was also working in fast food on the side at Chipotle, like 30. I remember like basically I told them I was older than I was, so I could get like as more than like a certain minority hours or something. I was 16, so I legally wasn't allowed to have above certain hours. And I worked out something with the manager to where I could work above whatever the legal limit was. I don't know if it was 20, 25, but I would maybe do like 30 hours, and then on top of that I would be studying for like my AP classes, because again, like I was 16, I kind of decided that like that's what I wanted to do with my life. Like I was like accepting like, hey, I'm gonna go to college, get good grades, and then hopefully I can research what high paying careers I can get with my grades and just get paid. And fuck it, if I hate what I do for a living, fuck it, because at least I'm making money. That was my mentality. So I started just focusing on that. I was like probably in the worst position I've ever been mentally, just because I was literally washing dishes at fast food for like 8 hours a day, sometimes 5 to 8 hours a day, like 5, 6, 8 hours a day. Coming after school, so like staying there until midnight washing dishes, and going home, doing schoolwork, and just studying to try and get the best grades that I could, right? So I was a junior in high school. Fast forward to like the end of junior year, and I was still in a pretty bad position, like was overworked. I didn't like my job, I didn't like school, I was very stressed, health was bad, whatever. Like I just prioritized busy working, and just like I hated all this grinding, right? So I hated the grind, I didn't enjoy it. And I did have a little bit of more free time towards the summer coming up, and I decided on the weekend, like as a joke, to try cutting hair, because I had that idea forever. Like I always wanted to cut hair, right? So I got my little brother, I started cutting his hair, right? And it didn't turn out bad, so I was cutting up his hair for free just to practice, to learn, like following tutorials, right? I bought some Amazon clippers. I split the money with him. So like he paid half, I paid half. He bought Amazon clippers with my little brother, and then I just started cutting his hair, right? And so we were in that situation. I was cutting his hair, like learning every week, and it wasn't terrible. Like I didn't like, it wasn't so bad to where like people were like, oh my god, like it's atrocious, like whatever. I messed him up. I didn't mess him up. So naturally his friends were like, okay, how are you always so fresh every week? Like these barbers charge a lot of money. Like you have $50 a week to toss to the barber. Like how's your haircut always fresh? He's like, nah, my brother cuts me up for free. So he started referring people to me. I started practicing on different hair types, all his friends, right? I started getting more experience. I was like, all right, eventually, I'm spending like 5, 6 hours on a weekend when I'm not at my job. And at this time, it's the summer now, so I don't have school to worry about. Something I'm spending all my free time outside the job, basically working for free, cutting people's hair for free. I gotta start charging y'all $5 to make it fair. So 5 turned into 10 turned into 15. After I went to 15 a cut, I was getting cuts at this barbershop that's in my neighborhood, and it was like a really well-known barbershop actually. Like there's a lot of young barbers there. A lot of them did social media. They weren't charging crazy prices. I think the craziest price was like $50. So to me that was a lot, and I was charging 15, and I was getting a haircut. I went up to the shop owner. I kind of showed him my Instagram, because again, back then I was still posting on social media to get clients, right? I kind of had the idea that like that was the best way to do it. And so I literally recorded my brother's cut every week and just posted on my story. And eventually it gained traction. I posted other people, right? Gained traction. So I was doing social media from like very early on, right? So I had a decent portfolio of social media. And I showed that to the shop owner. At first he offered me to sweep. He was like, I could have you sweep up if you want a job. I was like, I look, you already know how to cut hair. Like I'm trying to cut. I showed him my portfolio. He's like, okay. Let me see if I can work something out. And he's like, you know what? Let's do it. Like, let's do it. I'm gonna have you right here. Like, I got an empty spot actually, but I was gonna wait, see if someone came along. And like, he's like, you know, I'm gonna just come here, like, cut hair, right? We'll get you set up. So boom, I go in the shop. I'm still charging $10 actually at the time, and then I shortly go up to 15. And basically when I'm in there, I'm doing social media like at $10 a cut, right? Just some BS, like not the best videos, but I'm doing it compared to all the other people in there who aren't. So naturally I stand out. Naturally it's like, whoa, why is this guy taking social media so seriously, right? I started taking it more seriously while I'm in like the barber school section of this barbershop. So less experienced people, and then there's like one or two old heads that are supposed to be like the instructors. They're confused. They're like, what the fuck? Why are you doing these videos? Blah, blah, blah. You know, cut as many people as you can for 20 a cut. That's how you get rich like me. That's how you make money like me. And I just remember being like, damn, I really, like, honestly, I really didn't want to be like them. Like, I literally saw it, right? Even at I always had the mind where I was just kind of like, I would see people, and I would be like, what are they doing? Like, I don't want to be in their position, right? So even like back at Chipotle, right, I would see these managers that were older than me, right? And a lot of people's thought would just be like, okay, whatever, right? When I saw the managers, I was like, damn, this shit sucks. Like, I don't want to be in their position, right? And then I would see the owner of the store, like the Chipotle, come in, right? And people would be whatever, right? Like, oh, that's the owner. My first thought, like, honestly, like, genuinely, my first thought when I was in the situation, 16 years old, how do I get in their position? I remember asking, hey, how do I get to own a Chipotle? And like, obviously they think I'm joking. I'm so dead ass. I'm like, whatever I do, I want to be the top at it. Like, I want to just shit on everyone. Like, I just had, I don't know, I guess I had that hunger. Like, I just want to be the best, right? So again, like back in my old job, my first fast food job, washing dishes, I was a dishwasher, right? I get introduced to like the owner of the whole building, and he owns multiple buildings, and I just see him, like the way he lives his life. He's not stressed, you know, he's just chilling. I know he's making good money. He comes in dressed nice, you know, he doesn't have to deal with like nasty dishes. And I'm just like thinking, how do I get from where I'm at right now to be in a position like him, right? And it just kind of opened my eyes, and I was like, damn, I don't want to be stuck, you know, underworked, underpaid, working hard. I don't want to be stuck doing a lot of hours of work without good compensation, right? I don't want to do busy work and get paid like shit, basically, right? So I saw the same pattern in the barbershop. I'm like, damn, bro, these old ass barbers, like, they're not getting paid a lot. Like, bro, they're literally slaving away all day to get paid basically like shit, right? Not shit, but it's like, bro, it's not the best, you know, for the amount of work they're doing, and they're like 40, 50 and like still working such long ass shifts. So I'm like, damn, I really don't want to be in that type of situation. Like, if I'm being completely honest, right? I don't want to be in that type of situation. Even though I did appreciate like advice, feedback, whatever, at the same time in the back of my mind, I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna take advice from these people on their, like, you know, gamblers. They blow all their money on weed, lottery tickets, like bullshit, right? So I was like, bro, I don't want to be like that. Like, that's not, you know, I took maybe some advice on how to fade, how to cut hair, but there was a lot of advice I didn't take, right? And I remember I was always kind of like, you know, I was hungry, right? I pushed the owner to get into the shop, even though he was kind of like, whoa, like, sweep first, right? I pushed, I was hungry, and I was like, nah, like, I had to have it my way, right? So I think eventually I went up to 25 a cut. I was just booked, like insanely booked, right? Because at this point I'm posting on social media every day, and I'm just popping, like, you know, with the kids, like high schoolers, like people my age, right? Because those are the people who want to pay 25 a haircut. So I'm just popping, bro. So I get to the point where I'm like booked out, like I'm booked out, you know, like almost a week in advance, right? This is almost at 10 minutes. I didn't even realize. I asked the shop owner, can I go up to 40 a cut, right? Which is what my old barber who worked in the shop, who had been cutting for years, was charging. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, what do you mean 40 a haircut? Like, that's insane. Like, you know, wait a few more months. I hear a few more months, I'm like, whoa, this guy's tripping. Like, bro, I'm trying to go up now, bro. Like, I'm trying to push my business. Because I seen people online doing it. I remember there was this barber that I saw my age, Caleb cuts, and he went from 25 to 40. And that shit made me mad, right? Seeing him go from 25 to 40 being the same age as me, I was like, bro, this guy went from 25 a cut to 40 a cut. We're the same age. Why can't I do it, right? That's literally my thought. I was like, why can't I do it? And I was like, bro, you know what, bro? I will do it. Watch, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go post on my story. I know I'm booked out. I know I could do it. I'm going to post on my story. And then basically the owner was holding me back. So I waited a month like he asked. And I told him again, I was like, you know what, bro? I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, I didn't really tell him like this, but I told him like this, right? I basically let him know he's not my boss. I'm renting a chair from him. Please let me charge whatever price I want, and I'm responsible for whatever happens, right? Because these are my clients at the end of the day. They're not your clients from the shop. They're social media clients. And I explained that to him in the professional, nicest way possible. And he agreed. Shortly after, right, he sent me to the second floor of the barbershop, which is where the more experienced barbers go. So I'm the youngest one in there. I'm the only high schooler cutting against all these other barbers that are like still young, like 22, 20, right? But I'm still the youngest one. And I'm the only one taking social media seriously at this point. And they see me in there like, damn, how the fuck did this kid come and like scale up so fast? What took me 2-3 years, like how is he already up here? And I just remember them being like, damn. I remember like I went from being in the garage to being on the second floor of the shop, which was supposed to be advanced. I went through that in like about 8 months. And I just remember them being like, damn, I know, like kind of like, you know, taking like a diss at me. They'd be like, damn, I remember that took me 2 years back in my day. Kind of saying that like I wasn't deserving to be there, right? And I wasn't really looking for their respect because I already knew that it was only a matter of time before I surpassed them, right? Like one price raise and I'm making more than them. And I was like, all right, bro. But basically I'm there with these barbers, right? They have a certain way of thinking. And like, you know, a lot of them just don't, like they don't, you know, they're hating, right? So fast forward, you know, and a lot of people in my high school were hating too. Obviously, like pocket watching, like, you know, how does this kid make so much money? Trying to figure out how much I made, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. So senior year, right? I kind of got to pick this up because I'm yapping. But senior year, time to make college decisions. I applied to a lot of colleges for engineering, right? I grinded my ass off for those grades. Scholarships, right? I literally got engineering scholarships because it might seem crazy, but like in school, I was a book smart kid if I applied myself, right? It came easy to me, like especially math and stuff. So I was blessed in that way. Grinding my ass off, right? Got to the point where, you know, again, I had scholarships to go out of state. I could have gone to University of Connecticut, Penn State, wherever, right? Kind of on the East Coast, but I kind of thought about it and I was like, damn, do I want to pursue engineering or do I want to pursue barbering? And I guess the benchmark was like 10K a month, right? So it was like, what's going to get me to 10K a month faster? I was like, damn, well, maybe I'll just do both. No, right? You got to focus on one. I knew in the back of my mind, got to focus on one. So right before high school ends, I invest 7K into a barbering mentorship. My parents tweak out because it's right before college starts, right? Right before college decisions. Parents tweak out, right? Like insane moment, like just so much disappointment in me. My mom telling me, you know, my future's ruined or whatever, right? And just why can't I just be a regular kid and go away to college and do engineering, right? Like why am I doing this? You know, I'm never gonna charge 100 a cut. I got scammed by this mentor. And just like all this stuff, right? Like I'm never gonna charge 100 a cut. That's just something you see online. Like that's not realistic, you know, blah blah blah. Like there's a lot of doubt, right? I told my parents I was gonna go up on prices from 40 to 60 because at the time I'm booked out. We graduated high school. Fast forward, graduate high school, I was ready to go up from 40 to 60 a cut. So $60 an hour, you know, good money. That's when I hit my first 10K month. I remember telling my parents too something along the lines of like, hey, I can get paid on TikTok. Oh nah, that's just lucky, right? You know, I don't blame them. It's regular, right? They only know what they're exposed to, right? So fast forward, dude, my first month after I graduated high school, I made 10K off of barbering and I started getting paid on TikTok at the very end of the month. It's like literally, I think I graduated in June, maybe end of June, I think my video blew up, right? I go to sleep, wake up the next morning, and I kid you not, like $1,000 check from TikTok is in my thing from one video. And I'm like, God, like I'm just, bro, what the hell? So 10K month. And I made the money off TikTok. My first year after high school, it's looking good. Keep going, keep scaling, even though the barbers are just hating, right? Still shitting on me, right? Especially because I'm charging more than them at this point. Like, they're just hating, shitting on me. Even though we're like very similar ages, right? They're in college, so they're telling me, fuck that, you know, focus on college, and this is a little side hustle while we're in college. I'm the other way around. I'm bullshitting in college, right? I start college fall, still charging 60. Shortly after, go to 85 a cut. I start college at the local college, so it wasn't community, but it's basically community. I switched my major from engineering to IT to have more time to take online classes focused on barbering. My first semester, I show up for class for 1 week, and I just never went after that, right? And I still was in college. I was just doing the work online, so I took the hit on my grade for attendance, right? And I passed the classes. And currently, I'm still in, technically. I just literally pay someone to do my work for me. So I made it through one semester. It was rough. I almost didn't even pass, right? Because I was just so focused on barbering, and I really didn't care about school at all, right? And despite everyone telling me to focus on school, put school first, and barbering's a side hustle, I ignored them. I knew the potential that I had, right? And I literally saw that, like, even if I became an engineer and made the top amount of engineer, it would take me 6 years to make what I'm already making right now in my freshman year, first semester of college. So it just didn't make any sense for me because I wasn't passionate about it, right? It was just like, why am I gonna do? I remember thinking, like, why am I gonna go achieve somebody else's goals for them, right? Why am I gonna go achieve somebody else's goals for them when me personally, like, you know what I mean? Like, why would I go and achieve somebody else's goals for them, my parents' goals, right? What they wanted for me. Why would I go do that when I'm already happy with the life that I have? I know it's only gonna grow from here. I have a plan. I have my life planned out, right? I have everything together. And just school just wasn't aligning for me, right? It was something I was forcing, and I finally started going with what I wanted and what actually made sense financially too, like where the money was at. So I was making more money and doing something I actually enjoyed, and there was more potential because, again, from the start, another thing I told them was barbering is literally like, it's a vehicle. I always knew this, right? I was like, I'm not gonna be a barber for more than 5 years. I always told people that. I'm gonna scale to 100 a cut. You're gonna watch me, and then I'm gonna do another business. And no one really understood that, right? Because you see these barbers that have been cutting 4 years and open a shop. So they're like, oh, when are you gonna open a shop? Blah, blah, blah. You can't compete, right? I hear a lot of that. There's a lot of barbers, you can't compete with the Wise Cut shop that I was at, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I'm never planning to open a shop, right? So boom. Eventually, right, we scaled to 85, college, everything. My mentorship ends, and I just see an opportunity to, like, become a mentor. And I'm opposed to it, but at the same time, this whole time I've always been the person to give out free game. So I'm giving out free game to all the barbers in my shop. Like, all my friends that are barbers, I literally pour everything into them. Like, I try and help them copy my content. I literally give them my login for my mentorship and just have them, like, copy everything I meant. Like, I'm so wanting to see everyone win, like, genuinely, right? Like, I literally just I would spend hours on the phone with them, teaching them for free before I was even a mentor. So I guess I thought about it. I was opposed to being mentored. Then the idea of me being a mentor kind of clicked. And I was like, damn, I've already been doing that. Like, my friend Jeff, he was like, bro, you already basically mentored me. You already scaled me. You already were my mentor. You took me from 40 a cut to 60 a cut mentoring me. Like, he's like, you're basically already a mentor. Like, what your mentor did for you, you did for me. And I was like, damn, he's right. So I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity to retire from cutting. And so I started the mentorship. In terms of who it's for, I think it's for people myself, right? Like, young barbers, right? A lot of people who relate to anything I said in my story, my age, my situation, having people doubt them, not knowing what to do, feeling like they're the only one in the shop who wants to make content, or they're the only one that's hungry and actually wants it bad enough and they're willing to make a change, willing to do things a different way. I feel like that's who it's for. And it's for anyone who's young, hungry, and just literally anything who relates to any part of my story, or even anyone who's my age, right? Anyone who has any of that, right? Like, maybe your parents don't support what you do. Maybe you're in high school and people are hating on you. Any of that, I feel like that's who this is for. That's who has seen the most success, right? The people who are hungry, people who are willing to make a change, people who take action on feedback and show up every day. Those are the people who always do it, right? And so to finish off the story, finally started charging 100 a cut. I remember I did a house call in this nice area kind of in the city where I live, Tyson's Corner, and just being exposed to that, being exposed to, like, the nice environment, you know, like the type of people, like the type of money that's out here, the type of connections. I was like, damn, I did a house call to this guy, right? I got introduced to there. I was like, damn, I have to live here one day. So I take the risk. You know, I still see my parents all the time, of course, but since I'm doing a lot of work from home now with the mentorship, move out and start charging 100 a cut. And now I'm starting to live my dream life, you know, go to the gym. Like, basically my dream gym. That was a big thing. I love lifting. So, and the gym was really far from me, really expensive. A lot of good connections there. I moved to my dream gym, basically, I guess, almost dream city, right? Short-term dream city, charging my dream haircut price, $100 a cut, only working 3 days a week. So, man, God bless me very much. I'm super blessed to be in the position I'm in now. Life is amazing, man, and I'm just looking to literally help people out. Like the same adrenaline, the same dopamine that I get from raising my prices as a barber and challenging myself, I literally get that same dopamine from giving my own mentees price raises. Like I get that just rush of dopamine whenever I can get them to make more when they post wins. Like I swear, the same. I had an addiction, like a dopamine addiction of just the feeling of like growing the business, right? Like hitting new milestones, making more every month, pushing, taking risks in the business. Like it gives me so much dopamine, right? Like I feel great. And scaling other people's businesses literally gives me the same rush that I used to get back then, because it's a lot harder to replicate now, right? It's like, damn, like, you know, you can't really get that feeling of going from 40 to 60 a cut again. I already did it. Or that feeling of hitting my first 10K month, nothing compares to that. But I start to feel that again through other people, when I see other people. And not only that, but like with the people who you know, I help them get closer to God or cut out bad habits or just lead by example. Like that also makes me feel, you know, really good, like that I'm actually making a difference in people's lives, like genuinely, right? So those was, I'll say, are all the things. I know the video was pretty long, but hopefully that explained a lot. And yeah.